I've seen this book all over my For You page. The good news is that I read it so you don't have to. Lights Out is about Josh and Allie. Allie is a nurse. She works in the emergency room, and Josh works in tech. He just so happens to be the son of a notorious serial, and he's super insecure, especially because there was recently a Netflix documentary that was released outlining all of his father's heinous crimes. And there's people that insinuate that serial is a genetic trait that was passed on to poor Josh. And in his spare time, Josh likes to make thirst traps for mask talk. He does like little strip teases with a Halloween mask on. Allie's job at the local hospital is extremely stressful, and she winds down every day by watching these thirst traps over and over and over again for hours at a time. She even has a playlist in her phone where they're all saved so she can go back and watch them later. She also apparently has no shame, and she comments on every single one of them. As luck would have it, Josh is actually the roommate of this guy that Allie was casually seeing a few months ago. They kind of fell off talking because she was so obsessed with her job, saving people and all that. There was no hard feelings, but she and Josh have seen each other in passing, so he knows exactly who she is. At some point, he notices that she's the one that's been commenting on his videos. Mind you, he's in the mask, so his identity is a secret, but he knows who she is because her username is literally just her regular real life name. He's like already seen her in a towel before at their house and has a crush on her. Basically, once Josh puts it together that the Allie that's been commenting on his videos is the Allie that he knows from real life, he immediately becomes fixated on her because she's hot. She's a nurse. One day while she's at work, he breaks into her house and films a thirst trap on her bed and then posts it to TikTok. The video cuts out before anything really good happens, and so he sends her the rest of it in a DM. At first, she thinks that it's just one of his regular videos, and then she recognizes her own damn house from the background. Lucky for him, she ends up being super into it. Then they start this kind of cat and mouse game of her trying to figure out his identity and him trying to pursue her while remaining anonymous. She knows that this guy that she used to hook up with had a roommate who worked in tech, who happens to be Josh, and she asks him to help her figure out who's been stalking her online. Josh is under the delusion that he can pretend to help her find out his own identity. So he goes to all this trouble to hide who he is when she comes over to his house, and he like wears these long sleeves to hide his tattoos, and he tries to disguise his voice, and none of it works. The minute she walks in, she knows exactly who he is, but she pretends like she doesn't. So they're able to kind of keep up this charade. They have a grand old spicy time. She's still pretending like she doesn't know his real identity because she's having so much fun. He's just in the dark thinking that he seduced her, mask at all. I mean, I guess he did. At one point, he breaks into her house and he forgot to bring his voice modulator that disguises his voice. So he just lowers it down really low and talks like Batman the whole time. And he thinks that this is working. And she's just not gonna tell him that she knows. Basically, one day while she's at work, this guy comes in to the emergency room. He's been beaten the F up. Turns out he's well known in the area for preying on women and attacking them. He's a real piece of shit. And he acts really weird towards Allie. She's kind of cold to him because she knows he's a piece of shit, and he does not take that well. So he ends up tracking her down and breaking to her house while Josh is there talking like Batman. Thankfully, as soon as he breaks in, Josh is able to subdue him, and Allie is so pissed about the whole thing that she convinces Josh to tie the man up, put him in their trunk, and drive him to this remote cabin in the woods to off him for all of his crimes against women. Once they get there, though, they realize that when they put him in the trunk, they accidentally put tape over his mouth and nose, and he has asphyxiated on the way over. Josh is horrified and runs over to throw up in the grass, which simultaneously reveals his identity because he had to take a mask off, and proves to him, thankfully, that he doesn't have that serial gene that he was afraid he had. Plot twist, turns out that Allie's family is part of the mob. She's able to phone a friend and have her uncle and all of her cousins clean up this huge mess that they just made. They end up cleaning her house top to bottom and then faking a paper trail up to Canada, making it look like the man just escaped because the police were closing in on him for all the crimes that he's committed. Allie and Josh live happily ever after and celebrate their anniversaries by chasing each other through the woods for some more spicy times. It was a lot of fun. If you like listening to a plot summary instead of having to dig into the whole book, you should check out my podcast called Read It and Screech, where I give my sister the cliff notes and the cringiest quotes, and she goes screeching all the way. We're on all major podcast platforms. Bye!